we're back again. I've got another drink in my hands, another beverage. The last time we started this stream off, we had a tea. This time we have a little in high definition and super high definition. I've upgraded the software. We're up to 1080p. Wow, we've actually moved into the year 2012. And nice to see you. Hello, if you're joining us live on this Tuesday evening for another live stream Q&A session related to Celtic, talking about Celtic, taking all your questions and everything else about Celtic on a day which has been once again incredibly quiet in terms of transfer news and Celtic news and anything altogether. We are at that point in the season. It is a little bit more difficult to make the traditional styled videos, but I still want to get content out. I might be doing this full time now, you know. I might be going full time YouTube, so you know I need to give it a good go. I need to give us something to watch, and this is my attempt for the evening. So hello, welcome along. By the way, Lil, top tier beverage. It might be the greatest fizzy drink of all time. It could be. It's up there in the conversation. Let me know what you think about Lil and your favourite fizzy drink. There's your food for thought to start, or drink for thought, I should say, to start off tonight's stream. Yes, like and subscribe if you're new around here. If you haven't already, this will be available to watch as a normal video after the kind of stream is over. So if you are tuning in late or you're here, make sure to like, subscribe, all the rest of it. Nice to see everybody tuning in. Over 100 viewers already. Welcome along to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see some familiar names in there. Nice to see some names that aren't so familiar as well. Anybody is welcome in. Nice to see a lot of people. Ellen saying Mo in Scotland, of course. We'll talk about that. We'll touch on that game tomorrow night. Peter, Ian, Luke, Peter again, Freddie, Roscoe, Hannah. Nice to see everybody. Fanta Fruit Twist, by the way. That is another fantastic suggestion. Another tremendous beverage. Didn't even think of that. Didn't consider that. It's up there. I like a Fanta Lemon. But they're discontinuing that or something, aren't they? I can't remember. But hello, welcome. We're going to talk about Celtic. We're not going to waste too much time this evening. We've done this, of course, on Saturday. You might have tuned in, you might not have. Thank you for the support on that. It's nice to kind of break things up, and it's nice to get people involved. So, yeah, I like to just get the fans and all that into the stream. Mark McQueen, thank you for the donation, 79 pence. It's much appreciated, Mark. If you do want to donate, you can also do that over in the super chat section of the chat. So, yeah, I was going to kick off today's stream talking about that game tomorrow, but more specifically the players who are playing representing Celtic. Of course, 4 Celtic players have been picked to represent the national team tomorrow night. Callum McGregor and David Turnbull make up the midfield options, while Tony Ralston gets a call-up alongside Greg Taylor as defensive options for Steve Clarke's Scotland. As Scotland playing what is effectively their biggest game, well, their biggest game since the Euros, really. But, you know, this is huge. This is a World Cup qualification now for Scotland. Now, Can I pose the question, and can I just make a very honest point? And when I say, is it just me, or is I'm not as bothered as what I was about the Euros and how I was feeling at that point in time? Now that I'm just going to be honest about it. I don't lie. I'm not going to lie about it. And I want Scotland to win. I'm not saying I don't care altogether. But I'm just not as bothered. Like, I'm not going into this game with the same level of emotion or care as I did with the Serbia game back in 2020. I don't know why. I think it's just because Celtic have been so good and I'm missing Celtic that I just want Celtic back, in all honesty. But I hope Scotland do well. Of course, it's a massive, massive game for the country and for the national team as they look to qualify for their first World Cup since 1998. We need to get past Ukraine tomorrow, and then, of course, there's the challenge of Wales if we do get past Ukraine. But Ukraine are no mugs, you know, that's not going to be an easy game. Ukraine are a side who have a really good quality of player. They got to, was it the quarterfinals in the Euros back last summer. So, you know, it's a group of players who are out to, you know, for so many reasons, out to try and win that game tomorrow. A really emotional factor in this game. Of course, the game has been delayed with everything going on over there. But it shouldn't stand in the way of Scotland looking for victory. You've seen a lot of people hitting out with the whole should let Ukraine win and this, that, next thing. What an absolute pile of... I'm going to try and keep it PG here, but what nonsense. For God's sake, never heard so much tripe in my life. Why would you let them win the game? It's not our fault. That's what's happening, you know. Scotland, you know, suddenly them making it to the next round of World Cup qualifiers isn't going to make Putin go, oh, turn around and go home. A lot of people coming out of that, and there's a lot in the media about this, and look, listen, it's a game of football, and ultimately Scotland should be looking to win the game, and I'm hoping that we do win the game. But as I said, I'm really not as bothered as as I was a couple of years ago when it came to qualification for a major tournament. I'm hoping that the fever sort of strikes me as the game approaches tomorrow. I really do. I'm hoping that, I wake up tomorrow feeling a little bit more patriotic, a little bit more up for it, rather than just being unarsed, is what I would say. I'm in that mindset where I'm like, okay, we win, good, fantastic, but if we lose, I'm not going to care. But I want to care, so hopefully that fever does kind of come over me tomorrow. But there's 4 Celtic players, of course, going. So this was something like Roscoe saying, I'm not stopped swearing, right? Fuck that, I'm never going to stop swearing. That's part of the character, the personality that I've got on this channel. But when I've been editing recently, and because I've been putting more editing effort into my editing, I thought it'd be funny to put a wee censored like with Neil Lennon's face in front of me. But I don't know how people are going to perceive it or whatever. Anyway, it was just a bit of a laugh, don't worry. It'll be whatever it is. Yeah, there's 4 Celtic players, of course, involved with the team and with the Scotland setup going into this game tomorrow night. We've got Callum McGregor, Turnbull, Ralston and Taylor all involved, 2 of which I would be wanting to see start. And what 2 would that be? Well, Callum McGregor, absolutely. I think he's up there in the conversation for being a Scotland captain with Andy Robertson's antics as of late. But no, genuinely, I think McGregor, definitely. But I think Tony Ralston is well within the right of conversation to say he should be starting for Scotland tomorrow night. Who stands ahead of him, really, with the situation we find ourselves in? I think Ralston has got a really good conversation for starting that game tomorrow. So I know it won't happen, but yeah, look, I'm going to bring up this comment on screen from Kenneth, and this has nothing to do with being bitter or being biased. Nathan Patterson has played about 45 minutes of football since January or something. Tony Ralston's been playing, as of late anyway, very consistent football. And at a very good level as well. So I think that, for me, it's pretty obvious that if anybody was to start out the 2, it would be Tony Ralston. Now, Aaron Smith also makes a good point. He says, and imagine it will be Hickey. Now, I do think that it could be Aaron Hickey as well in that situation, but I think there was a talk about doubts of him being injured, maybe, or carrying some form of not. But I think Ralston's well within the rights of being suggested as a starter. Maybe it's Patterson I'm thinking of, Aaron, my bad. But I think Ralston's well within a shout. And I would love to see him start for Scotland. He's worked really hard. Of course, he's been left out of numerous squads when it's came to the national team, and he's finally getting his chance now. So I'd like to see what he can offer and how he'd fit into that Steve Clarke system. I think that realistically, we won't see him start. I mean, you'd probably expect Stephen O'Donnell to get a start over him with Steve Clarke as manager, but that's probably down to numerous reasons. And I think I don't even know if O'Donnell's in the squad, to be quite honest. But I mean, I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, I think if he was there as an option, or he is there as an option, he would start over Ralston. But one thing that I will say is, will Steve Clarke be up for taking that risk of bringing Ralston into the team so suddenly, so quickly, when he's just arrived within the setup in such a high-stakes match? No, I don't expect that whatsoever. And that's what separates now the point of being who I think should start and who I think will start. And that's why I don't think that we'll see Anthony Ralston start the game. We have got Stephen O'Donnell selected, for example. I would expect to see him start over Ralston just because of Steve Clarke. Look, listen, Steve Clarke's had a tremendous job. I'm not going to question his decisions. I have at times, and he's proved me wrong. So, hopefully continues to prove me wrong, but I just feel like there is a genuine conversation that can be made for Ralston starting that game tomorrow. But absolutely, with Cal McGregor, he's got to be in that team, hasn't he? Cal McGregor is, I think, a vital part of the Scotland system. I want to see him in the team. He's one of the best players we've got out there. So, yeah. Rant over. But those are the 4 players involved. I don't expect to see Taylor and Turnbull used as much in these big stake games. Maybe, around friendly times and such. But in regards to Ukraine, and then maybe on beyond that, Wales, there are 2 players that I just don't see making the team at any point, even as subs. I think Turnbull's obviously a really good player, a quality football player, but I just feel like there's so many in Steve Clarke's pecking order who are probably above Turnbull in the kind of decisions for who plays and who doesn't. So I don't expect to see Taylor and Turnbull used too much. And deep down, I'm kind of not expecting to see Ralston too much, although I really think he should. I think we'll be used sparingly unless he's desperately needed. So Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts in regards to the 4 Celtic players who are involved with the Scotland side tomorrow. A big game, of course. I hope Scotland get the win. I hope we get over the line. I think we can. I think we've got the quality to do so. This is one of the best Scotland sides we've had in years, and I think we've been given a really good opportunity to prepare here and get ourselves to Qatar. Hopefully we don't let that slip now. It would be nice if we can get that sort of done and dusted and we can move on to thinking about Wales. But of course, you've got to beat Ukraine first. So we'll see what happens. I was going to maybe do a little team prediction. But we want to talk about Celtic. We want to talk about Celtic. We're all Celtic fans here. Well, there might be a couple of Rangers fans. Who knows? But we're all Celtic fans here. So let's have a wee conversation. Let's open the floor. There's not much to talk about in regards to Celtic. There's been no really any news. I think it was Ellen who put in a comment earlier, and I'd scroll up and find it if I could, but it was something about the silence surrounding Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers. What I would say is, May is just ending now. We've got a good few weeks to now get the ball rolling in the transfer market, and I think those two are still intended to be the ones that get that ball rolling. So I would say be patient for now. Hopefully it's not a damning silence, a silence that means too much on the negative side of things, but I am in firm faith that we'll get them done. It's just, it seems to be typical with these sort of things. How much update can you then give when you've had the kind of be-all, end-all update of, it's, the words that we've been hearing is practically signed. When you get that, what other update is there on top of that? I think it's just a delay. It is a little bit scary. So hopefully we don't need to worry too much, but hopefully that silence is broken very, very soon. We are, of course, into a new fresh week. We're on a Wednesday tomorrow, in fact, so hopefully we hear something. Paul McMahon happening, right, my man? Steaming in Jota and love the channel. Scotland win, easy peasy tomorrow. Up the Celts. Thank you very much, Paul. A familiar face on the channel. Thank you. We've got Chef Di in there. He's saying, always a bit unsure of internationals. I would rather cut off my right bollock and see any Celtic player get injured long term. Of course, that's one thing we've not really touched on on the 4 players there that have been involved with Scotland. I guess the good thing about summer internationals is there is less of a chance of a big injury that sees them miss games for the club. However, of course, there is that risk of long-term injuries, one that can keep you out for 4, 5, 6+ months. Let's just touch wood. The wood, everybody with the wood in front of you, make sure it's well and truly touched in terms of hoping that no one sees ourselves injured or such. Scrolling down the chat, trying to get as many people involved as possible. Loved it, Marcus. Absolutely loved it. What was it Souness said again? I need reminded. I seen it this morning. I thought to myself, oh my God, he's chatting some amount. I mean, he normally does, Graham Souness, to be fair. It's not exactly news that he talks shite. But what was it he said this morning? Was it something like, we should let Ukraine win? He's an absolute wet wipe. I tune out from a lot of the pundits nowadays. I really just, they say stuff that I just don't think they know. I don't think they know what they're talking about. That's a Karamoko officially a free agent. Yeah, I think apparently so, isn't it? Reportedly his contract's up today or tomorrow, which means his career at Celtic will be over. We'll come back onto that. Let's talk about Karamoko in a moment's time. I'm going to go into this donation. Thank you very much, Paul. It's the same comment. You can tell he's steaming. This time he's just added a £5 in. Thank you, Paul. I very much appreciate that. I really do. Right, so let's bring up this a moment, because this is a big topic, I suppose. Karamoko's contract is apparently coming to an end. Well, not apparently, it is coming to an end, and we've had no reports to an extension. We've had nothing there to suggest that he will remain with the club. It does look as though he will leave. Now, I was reading an article earlier on today from that was interviewing his brother Siriki Dembele, who's just been promoted with Bournemouth into the English Premier League, and he spoke about his desire to play with his brother one day, but obviously that won't be at Celtic, because it looks as though Karamoko will be leaving the club. So if I just very quickly, let's get a wee graphic on screen. Well, not graphic. Let's get a bit of a visual aid on screen, you could say, to kind of expand our viewing here a moment. Let's zoom in. Karamoko Dembele, as you can see, still only 19 years of age, still a big future ahead of him if he can get himself into a fit and fighting condition. But as you can see, his contract does expire tonight. It is over, and there's been nothing to suggest, not even a news article, not even a leak, nothing to suggest that he will remain with the club. It looks as though he will be on the way out. Now, in the past, we've seen him linked with clubs like Borussia Dortmund and Arsenal. I think the ship has well and truly sailed for a move like that for Karamoko Dembele, but he's been really, really unlucky. And this is someone who I've wanted it to work out at Celtic for a long, long time. I've wanted him to be involved with the team. I've wanted him to get a sort of a shot at improving himself and playing at a senior level for us, but he just never was going to make the grade, was he? And it was just never going to really work out the way that we wanted it to, with the injuries and everything else. And I know I don't think his size helped him. I don't want it to sound like Gordon Strachan when he hit out with his size comment with the Scotland squad, but I don't think size ever did help him. And now we're in a position where you've got someone like Lier Abada, who is only a year older than Karamoko Dembele. Keep that in mind, a year older, and he looks streets ahead of him. Karamoko had all the potential in the world, but I think he has been hindered and has been held back a little bit by injuries and other things and that have stood in the way. I mean, here you go. In terms of senior football, he only did manage to make the 10 appearances for Celtic. He was involved on the bench numerous times, a large amount of times, I think, but in terms of actually coming on and playing football, there you go. 10 appearances, 1 goal. And in his time as a Celtic senior. Very promising looking player, but I just think we're now at the point where there's, for the best of his career, I think it is only fair to kind of let him go. I must admit that. I think for the best of his career, it is only right we let him move on, because it's just ultimately not happening now at Celtic. As much as we want it to happen, I just don't think it is. And he needs to move on from that. You know what I mean? You know, we might want him to stay really badly, and a lot of people will be saying, "Oh, he can still come in and do something for this team." But how long can you justify holding back a 19-year-old's career? I think he'll want to move on. He'll be looking at his brother, who's now been promoted. Siriki Dembele is now going to be in the Premier League. He'll be looking at that and thinking, you know, I can do that. I can play in the Premier League. I was the one that had a bigger hype than my brother. So he will be certainly thinking about that. But it is a shame that if his contract does look... I mean, Matthew Duff, so let's get Matthew Duff's comment up. He says he blames bad old Lenny. A lot of people might, you know, hold Neil Lennon to the blame for this one. But I think ultimately it was a lot of bad luck for... you see a couple of people talking about, you know, Neil Lennon maybe being the guy who kind of held him back. But I just... You know, I think that bad luck was really on his side, and maybe Neil Lennon was a part of that bad luck, but I do wish him the best. I don't think there is any need for... There's nothing there now in terms of selling value, and this is the thing, this is what I was thinking earlier. How much of a kick in the stones would it be if Karamoko Dembele was to move on from Celtic and get that big move? Someone was really interested in him, and he moved to England, and he was absolutely quality. How gutting would it be for Celtic, knowing that we had such a talent there and we let them go? But then you've got to look at it realistically. Even if that talent's there, we're not going to nurture it, I don't think. I honestly don't. And as much as I think we could and we should, and maybe I want us to, it's not going to happen. He's not going to get into the team. So it would just become wasted potential at Celtic. Whereas he can go and realise, and it might be a bit annoying knowing that we've let away a great player, but he's just never going to realise that at Celtic. He's never going to have that opportunity to go out and show that. So... yeah, that'll be him away. What length is my lens? I did not expect to see that comment. I'm actually getting a new camera. I'm getting a new camera. This one I believe is 58 millimeters. There you go. I don't know what a good length of lens is, but I'm getting a new camera. We'll see what that is in that. But there you go. That's Karamoko away, as GigPod would put it. So there you go. What else are we going to bring up? Let's see, what comments? Now, this is a big one I've seen this morning as well. Aiden's bringing up, heard Everton are interested in Christopher Ayer, was just wondering, do we have a sell-on clause on him? Now, I've not done any reading into the transfer offer yet, or the transfer negotiations, or too much reading. I've just seen the headline. So I've not actually got to read in if there is a sell-on there, but this is one thing that's always annoyed me. Why have people got such a problem with pink? What is wrong with the colour pink? Like, is it the toxic masculinity thing? I don't get it. I think pink is a lovely colour. I love it. It's just a pink Nike t-shirt. It's just a gym shirt, really. About sell-ons, you'd imagine Celtic doing, I'm sure it was reported when we saw what we do. I just can't remember off the top of my head whether or not we absolutely do or don't. But I'd imagine we do. And Christopher Aguilera to Everton would be huge, a big transfer if that happens, because he's a good player, and I think he showed that when he had the opportunities at Brentford. Of course, I think he was down at the side with a little bit of an injury at one point. But yeah, I think it would be a massive transfer, and hopefully we managed to kind of profit off that. There's Paul again, another donation. £9. Thank you very much, Paul. That's appreciated. Compare him to a big difference. Frees up the wage bill, wants him to make it, but clearly not Celtic quality, and we need players to make the difference. God bless the Celtic, and love the channel. Paul, I love you back, mate. Thank you very much for the donations. It is much appreciated, but he's absolutely spot on. I think him and Abada now, it's a massive difference. I think there's streets of a difference between the two players. So yeah, of course, that was on the last one. Evening, DM McDonald, nice to see you. Nice to see you, nice. Do I like the league kits? Yeah, they're okay. I want to see them in... I love the away one. The home one I need to see more of. Actually, funny story, about 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, I was blind completely because I came up, I turned all the lights on in the studio, and it all just hit me at once. And you know that way when the light hits your eyes and they go all funny and you can't really see. It was like that for a good 20 minutes. I thought it was me. I thought it was Stevie Wonder. I was honestly thinking that was the end for the eyesight. But here we are. We're still kicking a ball, so I'm happy about that. You're guaranteed an English team in the Champions League group stage next season. Which one would you want? Very good question. So who is there? There's Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea and Tottenham. I think out of all of them, I'd want Chelsea at the moment. Pardon me. I had to have a drink there. My mouth was drying up. Absolutely would pick Chelsea at the moment. Spurs look really good with Conte at the minute. And I'm not saying Chelsea aren't a good team. And then City and Liverpool are City and Liverpool. So I'd be picking Chelsea. Absolutely. I think that's one of the easier ones. Out of the decisions in Europe right now at the moment. I wouldn't like Spurs. I've seen Spurs said here from Lynchy, but I think they look so deadly at the moment in the counter-attack. Son and Kane, I mean, who knows if Kane will even be there next season right enough, but they're finding their form at the moment. And we're going to see an F1 channel soon, just starting to get into it. I'm going to start doing more F1 content, Dougie, on the second channel when it gets back, the ball gets back and rolling on there. I was actually going to do up some of the loft today and get the finishing touches done, but I might do that after this stream. We were talking about this the other day, David. You know, me and Kieran Auld were talking about this. I think that's out the window now. I think it's just been scrapped. Don't think it's happening. Not that bothered. I don't think there was much of a need for a hotel. It'd be nice to kind of spruce the area up a little bit and do up the superstore, but I'm pretty sure that's out the window. I'm pretty sure that's gone there. It's been a good 4 or 5 years now anyway. I think that was 2017 or something. Do you know what I'm actually going to bring up on screen? I'll answer a few more questions and then we're going to end the stream off with a bit of fun. So stick around. We're going to end off with a bit of fun. Fixture list is released on the 17th of June. Is that when it's released? Good. I need to know. I'm away down to Cardiff for Clash at the Castle, and I want to know if it's Derby weekend or not. So I'm hoping that kind of gets announced soon. Let's see. What else is it? Announced TSF podcast with Spunkphone. Or TSF1 podcast with Spunkphone. That would be entertaining. I would like to do that, actually. Free agent Gareth Bale for Celtic. Gareth, thank you for the donation. £2.81 from one Gareth to another Gareth. I don't think that the bailiff of Bale Gareth would sign for Celtic. I don't think we could afford those wages, to be quite honest. I think Ange is bringing a mentality we haven't seen before, which will benefit us in Europe. Absolutely. And I done the controversial opinions video yesterday, and one of the controversial opinions was Celtic won't get a point. I was a Celtic fan as well. Won't get a point in the group stages. I'm like, well, listen, let's not be too hasty here. I think we can. I think we should be optimistic about finding a point. But so yeah, we'll see what happens. Because Welsh old guys for free worked well this season, Gareth. Listen, I wouldn't. Gareth Bale's a special player, right? Let's be fair about that one. I heard some rumours. Don't quote me. That we were buying the Emirates Arena across the road. I think the whole it was COVID. Huh? Well, rumours are rumours. It's Kerry Dale stuff, isn't it? We'll wait and see. I wouldn't get our hopes up about buying the old the Emirates across the road. My score prediction for tomorrow, says the Greenock Morton fan. I think Scotland will win 2-1. There we go. Just a basic prediction. We're going to win the Champions League next season. Right. Feel free to keep piling in some questions, but I was only planning on going on this for about half an hour. So I wanted to bring up a little bit of fun to end off the stream. A shout out to Everything Celtic who put this tweet up earlier. Let's end the stream off with a little bit of fun. I want to see what you would be saying in the chat. if I can quickly find the actual tweet. So they put up a tweet basically saying, answer what you would make your 11 for this. And let me find it. Let me get it on screen, and let me zoom in on screen as well. Let me just close my DMs off. Okay, if I can quickly bring up my screen, this should be okay to bring up, I think. There we go. So Everything Celtic, shout out to Everything Celtic. If you haven't followed them, go and follow them on Twitter at About Celtic. They put up a tweet earlier on. It was they could have been 11. Celtic have had a lot of players who have impressed over the last few years. If you were to pick an 11 of any of these players based on current ability, which current ability was the one that was highlighted, what's the team you're picking? Now they outlined theirs down below, and I also got involved, so not a bad idea for a video of that. So here we are talking about it on the live stream. This was the team they went with there, which I think is a very, very strong side. And I mean, based on current form, there's not many better than you can pick there. But what changes would you make? Who would you have in to your team? I think that personally, on current form, I'd love to get like Scott Sinclair in there, for example. But in current form, that's just not going to happen. He's without a club. He's been playing for Preston in the Championship, whereas El Yunusi's been playing in the Premier League with Southampton. I mean, on current form, there is a few guys that you could bring back in. I think for me, wow, can you keep Joe Hart? Has it got to be former? No, you can keep. No, I'd have Joe Hart in. Telling you, I'd have Joe Hart in over Fraser. That's not going to sit well with a lot of people. I know that. Just a bit of fun. I'm seeing people say. I see Captain Duffy says Doogie boy. Where is Doogie's Captain Duffy? Ian, thank you very much. I'm Ian, no, I'm actually not. I'm actually hoping that McIntyre faces Tyson Fury, so that it isn't a predictable Reigns-McIntyre match, because Reigns is going to retain the title. So I want something. Reigns is going to retain it no matter who it is, I think. But I would like it to be someone that's not Drew, because I just don't see Drew winning it, even in the UK. Probably be screwed or something. So, yeah. I'm hoping that it's something a bit more exciting, to be honest. I love Drew right enough. Cameron Carter-Vickers over Denier. Now, that's a shout. I'd maybe agree with that. I think the back four is pretty set in stone. I would change Denier. I would agree, Lewis. Yep, I take Lewis as on current form. Peter, on current form? Really? Boric, just a relegation battle. But I actually agree. I think if it wasn't, this is on current form, remember. So, because I'm seeing like Lustig, for example, being thrown in there. Frimpong over Juranovic is a very good shout, actually, from Matthew, and I think I'd be inclined to agree if it was on current form. Because think about it, Juranovic hasn't been playing recently, whereas Frimpong's getting linked with bigger moves from Bayer Leverkusen because he's been playing really, really well. So I think I'd do Frimpong, Van Dijk, Cameron Carter. I should really open up like a kind of page, like a starting 11 sort of thing. Like, can I do it? Starting 11 template. Is that what I'm looking for? Hoping that the search history wasn't going to come up anything daft there. So if I was to do mine, I put it in like a 4-3-3. What formation did it? Yeah, let's put it in a 4-3-3 very quickly. I can't even be bothered doing this. So if I put it in a 4-3-3, right, like so, I put him out there, put him out there, put him out there. Why is it on the striped green? Can I have the striped green, please? Please? Can I have it? Oh no, it's the. Alright, okay, just that'll do. I think that I'd have Foster in goals. As much as I said about Hart, because Foster's been brilliant recently. I think I'd have Frimmers out and right back. Let's see, and then you can tell me what you think. I'd have CCV. Oh, actually, what about Big Aya? Aya's been brilliant, actually. But no, do you know what? I'm going CCV. And I'll go Virgil van Dijk. Then I'd go, I know he's injured, but I'd go take KT. Then in the midfield three, on current, well, I think we'd have McGregor, of course. I think you'd have to have Armstrong in there. And then I think that O'Reilly is maybe a good shout as well. Who did Everything Celtic have? Yeah, I think I'd agree with the middle three. Now, the front three is where it comes interesting, because you can't pick Edward as much as I'd want to. In current form, he's done fucking nothing as of late. But Jota... And Dembele's absolutely, yeah. There's no doubt about it. Dembele's definitely in there. But is there any way we can play anybody else in there? Christie, maybe. But would I take Christie over Moy? I'm thinking that Moy might be like I think Moy might be just a logical. You know that? And I loved Moy as well. You know me. So I think I'd go Moy and I think I'd go Jota as well. I think that would be mine. I think that's not much of a change. I think there's only 2 changes there. And Cham, nah, wouldn't have him in over any of the 3 that are there. There's the team I'd go with. That would be mine. There you go. Bit of a waste of time that, wasn't it? It was pretty much the exact. Eduardo over Dembele in current form. Are you joking? On current form? Even in any form, actually. The Twardsick twins. Yes. Lewis Morgan, brilliant form. Aaron, a very good suggestion, actually. But there you go. That's a bit of fun to end off the stream. And do you know what? That is exactly how we're going to end off today's stream, because that's been half an hour. So thank you to everybody who has tuned in. We will do more of these over the summer. So if you want to get involved, you always can. Thank you very much. Donations as well have been much appreciated. It's been half an hour though, so I better leave. I better go and let you enjoy your night. And I'll be back with a channel video tomorrow. And hopefully even, I was thinking about getting the second channel kick-started tomorrow, depending on time. But the Scotland game's on. So we'll wait and see. But yes, okay. That'll do us. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure.